Yes, Gregory. We will present some different bowings, and I think we could start perhaps with the Martele. I'm
Absolutely.
eager to see how you think about it. And you know, this bowing was the first I got from my teacher when I started to study abroad, and he started like this only to present the Martele, and in a way it's an opposite bowing because the pressure is between the bowing, and he presented it like he wanted this actual note to be very, very soft, but he take research. I don't know your teacher and the ideas they presented, but the pressure is before the note comes and then very easily and then again. You can also see the bow, this action it's now pressing the wood to the hairs, and then I get rid of them. You see exactly how it is. Bam, bam, like bam, bam. So, what is your idea?
No, that's exactly the same, but just with different words. So I remember it was a very famous Swedish teacher who first explained it to me, and said that a martele has 3 parts to it. First you have to apply pressure, then you have to release and move, and then you have to stop the bow.
Exactly.
And these are the three things. So first you have to apply pressure to grab the string, then you release, and then you stop. And I think what you're saying is because I've seen a lot of people they are good at grabbing the string, but then they keep the pressure on, and then you get that.
Yes, yes.
So it's absolutely right that the movement is just that. But you grab the string.
Yes. And what I do when I have the principle, when it's good in body, and very important, no noise after ending, because this is the problem when it's a very fast martele in the end. It's so difficult not to have this effect.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is also a good...
That's where the control comes in.
Yes, and then also martele is good to detect too much pressure and intensity. It's also really good for working with the general technique.
Absolutely.
Which etude did you?
Yeah, I often have students do Kreutzer number 7 and Rode number 1 for martele. And what's so interesting with martele is Kreutzer and Rode were living right at the time when the Tourt bow was being developed.
Yes.
When Tourt was developing his bow, we were transitioning from the Baroque classical bow to the modern bow, where we could do martele for the first time. So in Bach's music or in Vivaldi's music, martele didn't exist, simply put. So these etudes are the first instance of that. And so I have students generally start up bow, and start about half of the bow, and then stop. Like that. And then you can do the same thing at practice the lower half. So you practice it at all parts of the lower half, and then you try also whole bow. Like that, and you add a little bit of vibrato for the beauty of the sound as well.
You're right. This way of shifting from one string to another, I remember who it was. I think it was Kogan or Stern. He wanted in 2 different variants. The one, like you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Also directly into. So it's possible to.
Yeah, of course, to do both.
And of course, like a preparatory exercises is also good just to have. Martele in scales and in 4, and it could be in 2 and then in 1.
Of course.
That's a good like a starting.
And I find when people do these scales, they tend to go too much bow on the first one.
Yes.
So the idea is really to divide it into 4 equal parts.
Yeah. I always give them the picture of you have friends here, you are 4 of you, and you have a pizza to give your friends. Should be not taking the half yourself and then.
That's good. I should do that too.
Yes. So,
And then I think also like Rode number etude, first etude, is you practice very little bow and a little faster
yes.
upper half, and then you can try practicing that on all types of parts of the bow too. So you practice like, and then later when you play Violin Concerto number 5, the 5th page.
Yes.
That's a good preparatory exercise for that.
Yeah, yeah. And what is also very important to observe is how we take this fundamental principle of the Martele bowing into the repertoire.
Yes.
And before it was much playing this, I don't, if you played it, it's the Vivaldi.
Of course.
And you know, with the music, then it's impossible to lift the bowing directly into music, because music wants to polish, and it will be catastrophe to use the Martele I've learned. So it's a way, it's a Polish variant.
Yeah.
And this is always for the fundamental bowings, and then we go into the repertoire. It comes something else, but it's very similar. But we have to polish and form it and do it in a new version.
Yeah.
Of the raw material.
And because in music you also have the direction. You don't play da 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 ba bum 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 bum.
Yes, that's
so
right.
Of course, and you have to have less. But there are also instances like in the romantic repertoire, like Wieniawski Concerto, where it's still you really want the bite, where he writes accents on every single note.
Yes, yes.
Or slow.
Yes.
Or
it's all over. And in the Baroque, of course, it's every place, like in the Bach. So it's very much in use. This bowing should really be carefully practiced.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in Beethoven too, you can find this bowing as well.
Yeah.
Because I find what the Martele does, people that don't have a well-developed Martele aren't able to project as well, because the note does not have that defined start to it.
Yes.
It's more. Galamian talked about vowels and consonances, and that's sometimes you need more vowel, but sometimes you need.
Yes.
That type of thing.
That's
right. Where you need to have a clear beginning to each note.
That's correct. With the Martele, you know the start sequence, the starting initiative. I also use for my exercise like this, where I leave the string in the Colle.
Oh!
I have just the same part, but then I just leave the string. It's a very good exercise.
That reminds me of, but now we're getting more into Colle of how I practice. Also this way.
Yes, and on the tip, it's so difficult to get this without any noise.
Yeah. You have to have full control.
Yes, and very, very slowly go down to find the... Even more challenges is to go like this, without the bite, only brush. But it's also a very good training for total control all over the bow.
So to be able to have that vowel beginning on all parts of the bow.
Yeah. You know, it's many trick you can. I saw violinists. This is a quite good idea also to take violin, go to the bow instead of always this. I can keep bow quite in row, calm, and then I violin go up under. It's also a good effect for
to bring the violin more up.
Yes.
Of course. And I think what you're transitioning us into Colle now.
Yes,
which is really helpful, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Colle, when I start with Colle, I have people just really only do it with the fingers, exaggeratingly. So I sometimes even put my hand here, and have them only do up bows. And then it's a matter of finding exactly the right contact point, because there it's not gonna sound, and not there. So the right contact point, you grab the string, and you just move the fingers.
It's a very good idea. Do exactly the same. It's for freeing fingers, the best exercise ever.
Yeah.
But I also dare to do the brushing.
Of course.
with
And
the-
then the next step becomes to be able to do both directions. But what I find with Colle is it's very important to really wait a little bit between each one.
Yes.
Not to go, but to really.
Yes, that's right.
Full concentration on each one.
Yes. You know, when I, in my study period, all my teacher was smoking. Also during playing.
Oh.
And one of them told me, with this bowing, the Colle, it's like you have a big cigar, and on a very white board you lose like from the ash, you know, the ash from the cigar.
Yeah, the ashes.
Yes, and then you take like this, and you very lift it up. And he gave me this because I think I was too harsh or too much. And then always think about, when I do this bowing, think about his idea lifting up with the finger.
But I love the lifting up idea, because lifting up implies that there's going to be ring to the tone.
Yes.
You lift the sound out of the violin.
Mm.
Instead of pushing it down into the violin,
Yeah.
you lift.
Yes.
That's very good, yeah.
And this ringing effect is also, of course, for Martele. You play the bow, but 10 seconds after the sound is much longer than
Yeah.
after the stop. It's very interesting. Also, of course, Colle and many other bows. Colle is, I think, it's underrated, and not so many. But in my school, all my teachers were so eager with this. I think Galamian and also Dorothy a lot of use.
Oh, Galamian. One of my teachers was a Galamian student, and he was very very tough on having us all do a lot of Colle and Martele. To really have a very firm definition at the beginning of the note.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a kind of combination of the, like you practice like you do at different parts of the bow. So if you, instead of, which happens, you practice starting from the string.
Yes, like in Beethoven Spring Sonata.
Yeah, many places.
Many places.
Many places.
So it's not central, but it's very important to have a command for this.
Yeah, and to really practice like starting instead of going always you practice.
Yes.
From
It's
the
very
string.
good for accord training also, this. To have also 3 strings involved, so it's a nice bowing. Should we go to staccato, because we had the Martele?
Well, I just wanted to mention that Kreutzer number 7 is also excellent, I find, for Colle.
Yes.
And also Rode number 1, one can also practice Colle.
Yeah.
But and also, you know, the exercise I was trying to demonstrate before. Exercises like this to alternate frog and tip.
Yes. I always start with a discipline form, using the correct etude for this, and I end up some cozy things with.
That's great. Yeah.
Making a small melody, or perhaps into my scales, or so I give this a little bit on the wings, this freedom, so it's not only copying or reproduce the etude, but put it into some cozy surroundings.
Of course.
It's also important with all the bowings we do. We will demonstrate how we can use this.
Or like I sometimes take the third movement of Brahms concerto to practice as Colle practice instead of which one is very good to really grab each double stop.